Okay, so these little scale patterns I call symmetric patterns. They're a way to find pentatonic scales without using the traditional five positions, five box pentatonic scale positions. The way they work is you find a root note, so here's an A, for example. And the way you find the major pentatonics is on the right side, you have this little symmetric four-note pattern, a little narrow pattern, ring and pointer. So if you put your pointer finger on it, that's how you play major pentatonic. If you put your pointer finger on it to get minor, you use the pinky patterns. So that would be the 8th fret and 5th fret in both of those strings. So major is 7-5, fret 7-5, and minor is 8 and 5. So on the right-hand side of the root note, this is major, this is minor. On the left-hand side of the root note, so you put your pinky on the root note. Major now looks like this. It's the opposite. Major is a stretch, pinky and pointer, and minor is a little two-fingering thing, which you could get again with your ring finger. So the frets 5 and 3. That's minor on the left side of the root note. And major is just the opposite. It's the wide pattern, the pinky pattern. This is minor, this is major. It's the opposite, the exact opposite of what happens on the right side of the note. So major looks like this, and minor looks like this. On the right side, major, minor, and on this side, minor, major. The exact opposite. The pinky fingering, the stretch fingering, is major on the left side, and the narrow fingering, the ring finger fingering, is the minor one. So major, minor, major, minor. That's the gist of this. Now you have to know to be able to use this is where the root notes are. So on the guitar you can find root notes in these two little diagonals. If you have an A here, you skip a fret. So this is on the 6th string, 5th fret, the A. Go to the 4th string, 7th fret, and then skip 2 frets for the 2nd string, 10th fret. So A, A, A. 6th string, 5th fret, 4th string, 7th fret, 2nd string, 10th fret. On the 5th string, so 2 frets above where we just ended, you have another A, this time on the 5th string. So if you know your notes on the 6th string and the 5th string, it's really easy to do this. You can find the notes quickly. But even if you don't know the notes, say you just know the 6th string, you can find this little diagonal. Then you go up 2 frets on the 5th string, you have another A, that's the 5th string, 12th fret, and do the exact same shape. Skip a fret to the 3rd string, 14th fret, and then skip 2 frets to the 1st string, 17th fret. So these two little diagonals show you all the octave notes on the guitar, all the unisons and octaves that you can find on the guitar. These are all the A notes. And then what happens right there, we finish that 5th string one, it starts over on the 6th string. So you have that same diagonal again. And same thing back here. If you do this, to go down from the 6th string, right there on the 1st string, we have another 5th string diagonal. So there's only 2 little diagonals. They have the exact same shape, and they start on either the 6th string. And again, the way this works is you skip a fret, skip a string, then skip 2 frets, and skip a string. Starting on the 5th string, same thing. Skip a fret, skip a string, and then skip 2 frets, and skip a string. And then it starts over right there. So you only have 2 of those diagonals. They look exactly the same. One starts on the 6th string, one starts on the 5th string. That helps you find all the notes. Now, the way you use this is you can use those little shapes we just did in the beginning to find major and minor pentatonic scales. So if I find this A, for example, I can do that same thing. Here's a major. If I'm on the right-hand side of the note, if I put my pointer finger on the note, I have a narrow fingering. If I put my pinky, I have a minor pentatonic. So this is major, and this is minor. If I go to the other side, if I put my pinky or my ring, if I'm putting my hand to the left side of the root note, then it's the opposite. The narrow fingering there on that side is minor, and the wide fingering, the pinky fingering, the 3 fret stretch fingering is major. So on this side, narrow is major, wide is minor. On this side, narrow is minor, and wide is major, the exact opposite. And I can do it anywhere I find any of these octaves. One thing you have to know, because the 3rd and 2nd strings are tuned a fret different than all the other strings on the guitar, you need to split the 2nd and 3rd strings like this. Here's an A on the 2nd string. So normally I do this, 2 rings, but you can hear this sounds wrong. That's because on the third string, you always have to shift them one fret. The third string has to go down and the second string has to go up, or one or the other. You think of the third string moving down in this case. So here's my A. Instead of doing this, I do this. Shift my hand down a fret. So instead of this, same fret. When I'm starting on the second string, any movement between the second and third string needs to be shifted that fret. So I have to move down when I'm going to the third string. If I'm thinking of it the other way, I shift up going to the second string, or I shift down going to the third string. Okay. So I can do it anywhere. Here's an A, there's my major, here's my minor. Here's another A, I have that same scale, this other A, there's major, and here's minor. If I do all those same notes on the other side, like say I put my pinky on this A on the second string, here's my wide patterns, that's major, I have to shift down a fret to account for that different tuning on the third and second string. That's major, this is minor. Same fingerings, just shifted apart. So minor, when you're on the left side, is narrow, ring fingering. Major is wide, pinky fingering. Okay, so just to use this in a normal context, where I'd usually have to think about switching between finding first, second, third, fourth, and fifth positions of major and minor scales. So I'm playing over, for example, blues. Maybe a little blues here, just a really quick little 4-measure. And then 5. Okay, so I want to play over that. Here's my A. Over 1, 4, and 5, I can play either major or minor. That's major, minor. I'm switching between the major and the minor. The major sounds sweet, it's more country. Minor's more bluesy. Here's the major on this side, pinky. Minor sounds like this. Okay, if I combine those both sides, I got a big run here of notes. And the reason I call this a symmetrical fingering is because it's the same on both sides. If I look at this, all those notes that I've got from combining major and minor are sort of a mirror image of the other side. I have a skipped fret, and then 2 notes that are at the same fret. On this side, it's the same thing. I skip a fret going down, and I have these little clump of notes at the same, 1 fret apart here. So skip fret and 2 notes at adjacent frets, and same thing, skip a fret going down and 2 notes on adjacent frets. I have a huge run there, and I can do that on any of the octave notes. There's that A. Up here. Now here, remember you gotta switch a fret for all these fingerings on the third string. So I can just jump to any of those root notes and automatically get the right set of major and minor. And the really great thing about this is that, as I'm looking for the notes, one of the key things that makes this sound good when you're playing pentatonics is that you can adjust your feel of your note choice to be either sweet or bluesy, and all these combinations that you get from doing major and minor pentatonic. This allows you to see that and think about it very quickly and easily. Find your root note and you have your majors. The majors look like this, and the minors look like this. Very easy to find and feel for major and minor pentatonic. When you're playing in the moment, doing that with positions takes years and years of experience to really master. This you can master in a couple weeks and get the sound of major and minor clarified in your fingerings very easily. Find them very easily. Learn those octaves, and then learn this is major, this is minor, this is major, this is minor. This, a nice mirror image, an exact opposite feel. When you're doing major here, it's narrow. When you're doing minor here, it's wide. When you're doing major here, it's wide. And minor here, it's narrow. You do that everywhere on the guitar. To complete this, is one more fingering we need. These fingerings both work by going to the thicker strings. You find your root note, you get that narrow, and then you go to the next thicker string, physically higher string. So I'm here. So we got a gap there. Like if you're finding your octave here, your A on the 4th string 7th fret, and you're finding an A on the 1st string 5th fret, you don't have anything on the 3rd string. So we need to cover that. And the way to do that is by, I think the easiest way to find it is to put your middle finger on the root, and then major looks like this. So you have middle finger, for example, on the 4th string 7th fret. The major note is the 3rd string 6th fret, and you have another note at the 3rd string 9th fret. Minor is the exact same thing, except you stretch your pointer finger out. So instead of on the 3rd string 6th fret, it's on the 3rd string 5th fret. And in that minor scale, we can actually play the middle finger on the 3rd string too. That gives us a bridge between the octave here, here's I'm doing minor, to this. And I can go here. Or I can go here, to here, to here. So when I'm finding notes that are on the next thinnest string, I use these shapes. Again, here's the middle finger, major is right here, and then pinky on the 9th fret, and then minor, you just move your pointer finger down. You can add that middle fingering. Now, the middle fingering isn't in the major scale, but you can usually add it. So you can do both this for major, and you can do this for minor. So I get my blues going again. I'm doing this. That's major. Here's major. Up here, here's an A. 2nd string 10th fret, here's my major. Up here, again, I have to move the notes 1 fret. So right now I'm playing off of this A. Putting my pointer finger on it, getting major, putting my pinky on it, getting major. Do the same thing here, this A. Or do it here. Or here. Or here. Or here. Or here. Here's my A. I can't go to the other side of that because I don't have enough frets. Or I can go here. Or now to get from this one and this one, I can use that middle finger and go to the next thinnest string. Then jump. I'm not missing any strings then. Now I can jump from there to here. Jump to here. Jump to here to get the middle notes. Jump to here. That was all major. Do minor, do the same thing. Here's my A. Minor. Much more bluesy sound. Now if I want to get minor here, I put my middle finger on it. Get that in-between note by going to the next thinnest string. Middle finger on the root note, and if I'm on the 4th string, I can get those middle notes on the 3rd string. I'm using this note, stretching to get my pointer finger, get my middle, and pinky. So I'm not thinking in positions here at all. I'm just thinking about finding the root note and finding the minor and major pentatonic notes. So again, here's my 4-string A. That's above it, to the right. I'm using the thicker string. On the 4th string, playing wides and going to the 5th string. If I want to go down, I can go to here. If I want to go up, I can go to here. Or up here. Just make sure that I'm doing the same fingerings there. Just make sure that I switch on the 3rd string. There's a fret shift there. Just finding all those A's everywhere. So now I can just think about range. I can think about going low and high by finding octaves that are lower and higher, playing major or minor very simply. There's no position thinking. I'm finding an A, going to the thinner string like this, or going to the thicker strings by going like this, above or below. So now I can switch major or minor real easy. Here's major, minor, major, minor, major, minor. I'm on this A. I'm on this A. Okay, now I'm on this A. Going to the thinner string. Now I'm here. 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 Now I'm here with the middle finger going thinner string. Now I'm here going thinner string. Now I'm here, pointer finger, thicker string. Now I'm here, thicker string. And I can combine major and minor with these nice. Here I'm here, major and minor, mixing them together. Or on this side, put my pinky on the root. And if I go between that whole run, I have this, and I have this, and if I just use all those notes that I'm finding, I got a huge run. And I can do the same thing here. Or here. Works everywhere, and it really helps you key into major and minor. Here's major. Major. Using that A right there. Now I'm using this A. I'm going to the thinner string. Now here I'm using this A. Same A, pinky. Thicker string. Now I'm on this A. Thicker string right, thicker string left. If I want to get minor tossed in there, I just add those. You can see I can really choose how bluesy and how sweet I want it. There's major, there's minor. Up here, there's sweet, there's bluesy. Mix them. It really lets you just kind of shift your attention from note to note without having to think, okay, wait, here's my first position, major, and I want to play up here, so I got to be going first, second, third, fourth. Okay, here's my fifth position. Or I want to play, okay, now I want to go minor and I want to play in that same area. Okay, here's first, here's second, here's third. You do all that thinking, and if you do that for 20 years, you're going to get really good at finding your positions without thinking. But it's going to take you years to get really good with position playing. You can get good at this, really good, in weeks, and focus on playing motive patterns. Focus on the movements that you want to use to make those notes come to life, and to, you know, have some movement in your fingers. So you practice a pattern like this, or you do it in minor, or you do bends, you do it in minor, everywhere. And because all the fingerings have the exact same notes. If you do this on this A, it's the same as these notes. It's the same as these notes. It's the same as these notes. There are no surprises about how a lick is going to sound because you're doing the exact same fingerings everywhere on the fretboard on all those 6 different octave places. And it starts over. So, I think this is one of the best ways to really get the feel for switching between major and minor, to be able to find it quickly, to be able to go anywhere on the fretboard and play licks in ways that are going to become very familiar to you, because if you practice your same motives, if I do this, that's going to be the same as this. If I do it here, it's the same as in this octave. Or up here, or here, and you get these runs. So if you're working on that little run, this little thing, you do it here, you do it here. And it's just the same everywhere. Do it down here, it's, do it here, now you have the switch. This is the way the guitar is set up. You have to go 1 fret different. That's just the way the guitar works, so you have to always shift on that 2nd and 3rd string, but that's part of learning how the fretboard works. Understanding and getting your fingers to know where notes are comes from understanding that shift of the 2nd and 3rd strings. That's something you have to learn to really know the guitar fretboard better. And this helps you do that. Learning fingerings doesn't really do that. You just kind of learn the fingerings as shapes without any logic that shows you, that lets you think about, okay, your fingers can kind of go up from here to here because you know that that's what happens between those strings, not just because you memorized a shape. So doing this really helps you to learn the fretboard better and intuitively understand where your fingers need to move, because you're always thinking about moving your fingerings in the way that the guitar fretboard's set up. So I'll just do a little jam and do that little A thing and kind of play around. little octaves here. Just looking for the notes in those patterns, but using octaves. I'm here. Now I'm here. And minor. Same thing here. Now I'm here. And here. Now I'm here. Now I'm here. Or I'm here. Or here. Now I'm here. All I'm doing is finding this note and finding notes around it. Symmetric pattern. And using them. Now here. I do sweeps. Little two-string sweeps. Seems to be a good idea. Tapping. This lends itself really well to tapping. Just follow those guidelines. Now I'm here, so here's my octave. Here's my shapes. Tap them. Or I can go to here. Using that one. There's this one. Now this one. So anything you can do with any motives that you learn anywhere else, any pieces that you play or anything you just practice, you can do in these shapes. You've got a really fantastic way to focus on whether you're playing major or minor instantly and anywhere on the fretboard. The main thing you have to do is learn the two octave patterns, the root 6 octaves and the root 5 octaves, They're the same shape, just starting on the 6th string and starting on the 5th string. Learn that little symmetric pattern, or you go to the thicker strings and focus on which ones are major. These are major up there, these are minor up here. And then these are major down here, and these are minor here. And then you've got that little thinner string pattern where you put your middle finger, that's major, this is minor. That's it. That's all there is to learn. You can write that in, this much text and learn it, and very quickly get your fingers playing everywhere on the fretboard. Just have to get to know where the octaves are. And ideally, eventually, you learn where all the notes are, so you don't have to just go by shapes, but you can use your knowledge of where the notes are. But you're still going to use these shapes no matter what you do, these fingering shapes, no matter what you do. You're going to see them. And even if you're playing out of boxes, the 5 positions, the traditional 5 positions, you're still going to see these things happening. And there's more to it than that. One of the things I use a lot is these rotating patterns. So if I see, the ring fingerings, I know the next thing in a diatonic scale pattern, any mode of the major scale is going to be this. So as soon as I have these patterns everywhere now, I go to an octave and I've got one here and I've got one here. And basically what happens is you get Dorian on one side and you get Mixolydian on the other side. But don't worry about that now. But you get a scale pattern that works in most of these cases. So now I can use my rotating patterns, which is been covered in some of my other videos, but you can do your rotating pattern runs anywhere because you see these immediately. If you know those rotating patterns, there's only 5 of those positions and they all use the exact same fingerings, really one scale fingering. Learn those. You got the rest of the scale wherever you are. Here's my A, and I have those 2 rings, so I know I got 2 middles. So if you've seen how those rotating patterns work, you're immediately positioned for any of them anywhere. Here I have this one, so I have 2 middle fingers. I have my A here with my pinky on it. Well, there's 2 middles, so I got an oddball and then 2 more rings, and I've got all the scales I can run up. I don't have to think at all about where I am in a pentatonic scale, whether I'm in a wide pattern or a narrow pattern. I can just jump to a root note and I've got a 3-note per string fingering. Or here. Or if I'm up here. So my fingers can jump right into those rotating modes of the major scale, the rotating patterns for the major scale, as soon as I've got any of those little symmetric patterns. And that's what this little symmetric pattern does, is gives you those 3-note per string fingerings right away. No thinking, just right away. Find the root note and you got both your major and minor notes. Any place where you can play both major and minor notes, you've got a rotating pattern that you can use all the way up and down the fretboard. So that, I didn't do any of that in my playing here, but I do that a lot when I'm playing, just sort of in the wild. I do a lot of that rotating, rotating in and out of the modes of the major scale. And that really increases your vocabulary. So this can get you there very quickly and get you into one of those positions really quickly so you can go all the way up and down in the rotating patterns. I didn't use any of that when I was playing this time. I stayed strictly to the little, call these symmetric pentatonic patterns. So hopefully that helps.